Hello everyone, and welcome to my guide for Chapter 8, Score Battles. Very hard. Hopefully this guide will help you get SS on all of these really hard score battles, especially if you don't have characters like Bolt, Resna, and Izana. I know they can be quite challenging, and a lot of people are struggling, but don't worry, they are doable, they are possible, even for your account for sure. I do have a few important things to say before we get into the actual guides, so I would appreciate it if you all could listen for a bit. I think this is a little important. First off, if you have Bolt Resna or Izana, you are much better off trying to use those characters to clear these than following this guide. There are other guides out there that include those characters, and it will be much easier for you because they are better damage dealers for this content. Secondly, speed is super important here. All of the timelines are completely fixed, so there's no randomness in turns once you enter the battle. If you have the right speed values, you will get the right panels and the right turns every single time. Assuming, enemies don't do any weird stuff like they can in 8.4, but you can react to it. But yeah, you will get the same results every single time if you have the right speed values. So make sure you are paying attention to the speed values. I cannot stress that enough. It's super important. I go over all of them, so make sure you're paying attention to that. Another thing, this guide is based around mostly level 70 characters, but I do use level 75 attackers. Level 75 is a pretty low barrier to entry, in my opinion. To get to level 75, all you have to do is take a level 70 character and go to the next board and get the level limit unlocked. It will cost 15 of the new orbs. So running hard for these orbs is 140 stamina per character. It's not a big deal. It's just 15. You don't have to fill out the rest of the grow board, you just need to get the level uncap. If you were to fill out the rest, it would be obviously a ton of stamina, like 1,000 stamina for the entire thing. It's not worth it. But for each character, just the level limit, that's totally fine. And of course you do need enough XP to do it as well. But if you don't have the XP, you don't really need this guide anyways, because the only reason you really need SS on these score battles right now is to get up to level 80. So like, you probably have the XP, or you should have the XP, or you should be working on getting the XP, right? But yeah, I did try to keep the gear requirements down as much as possible. The character requirements, I don't use a single gacha 3-star. I tried not to use SSR Memoria, and so on. So yeah, I hope all of this works out for you. I wish you all luck, and yeah, let's get into the guides. Alright, starting off with 8.1. So the characters we're going to be using for this are Rorona, Vio, Valeria, Monica, and Tao. I will have to explain Vio a little bit. She's actually not really here as an attacker and more of a support, so we'll start with that first because this is going to be very important for every single clear here. So currently she has the Destined by the Stars Memoria at rank 5. This is pretty important. I do recommend unlocking this. While equipped to an attacker, it boosts the skill damage of all allies by 7%. So this is really important for increasing your allies' damage. And while 7% might not seem like a lot, it is boosted by the enhanced damage buff A trait. So if you have 3 of these traits at 50%, that Memoria will be supplying 17% skill damage to your entire team. Absolutely worth it. You absolutely want to go for this. I do have a 4 here just because I didn't want to finish make more stylish brooms. If you already have enhanced damage buff A gear, great. If you don't have Liddy though, you probably don't have this stuff already. If you do have Liddy, you can definitely just use Liddy over Vio. She will give more damage. Although for this specific strat, Vio's kind of nice because she attacks. But yeah, she is going to be our support. So you do want these traits. If you don't have this gear already, it's just single trait gear. I recommend making it. Scholar Coat and Stylish Broom are the best bases for this for her because they boost the potency of the buff effects even more. And then the accessory doesn't really matter. I just did something I had materials for. And the reason we use Vio for this is because of her skill 2, which also boosts all allies skill damage by another 5%, which also gets scaled by the traits. So this will be supplying another 12% or so, which means that, you know, after using skill 2, all of the attackers in the party rather, will have like plus 30% skill damage or so, which is basically another item. Like, it's pretty decent. So Vio is going to be our pseudo support. Then we have Monica. Monica is actually kind of irreplaceable here. The damage output in this is really high. Basically, we're only taking 2 hits. Monica's going to tank 1 and then dodge the other with her skill 2, and you will need to reset until you get good dodges on her. I just have some tank gear on her. Like the Envoy's Blade, the traits don't matter that much. And this just increases the chance that she'll dodge. This also doesn't have traits. Like, her gear really doesn't matter, other than you do need a 10 speed accessory. The traits don't matter. Once again, it just needs to be 10 speed. Very important that it's 10 speed so that her speed can get to 250, because we will be using the Scion of Arland Memoria, which has like no speed on it, 2.25%. You do want this at rank V for her. When attacking a weakness, it boosts the damage the target receives by 6%, so it's just some extra damage. You really need this extra damage, especially if your gear isn't amazing, so I highly recommend using this on her, and you have to make sure her speed is at least 250. So the traits aren't too important. Level 70 is totally fine. Just these items at SR, totally like good enough with this Memoria, and that's kind of all the setup you need for Monica. And the rest of our team is just attackers. I do have them all at level 75. You can get away with lower levels for sure. If your damage is worse, you will still be able to clear this with an S rank. But getting the higher levels, getting some better gear will allow you to get up to SS rank, but this exact strat will work for S rank with lower levels and worse gear. The main thing is you just need to make sure that you can kill the golem at the start, and I'll show you what I mean by that. And you can focus it more if you need to, but other than that, my attacker gear it's decent. Rarona's going to have 2 skill 9s and then skill 5 on the Fortune Staff. We are going for a crit. The Fortune Staff is going to be one of the better weapons for that. Or if you have the book from the Ice Tower unlocked, that's obviously even better, right? So Fortune Staff will be good here. The Memoria is just the SR Totori Memoria. If you have, you know, an SSR Magic Attack Memoria, even better. I'm just using SR because it's what I have. It's better for the guide. Then for Valeria's gear, I also have another SR Phys Attack Memoria, so this Lulua one. Obviously SSRs are better. And for the equipment, I have a 9 and then just like a 5 and a 5. So not amazing gear on Valeria, just very decent. And for Tal, I am using an SSR Memoria on him. It doesn't really matter that much. And then he has an 8, a 7, and a 9, like decently high gear level, but you don't need this gear level. This is just kind of what you need for SS. Specifically the Rorona gear is the most important for SS. Tao's and Valeria's can be worse, but you may have to roll a crit on Valeria or Tao early on for worse gear to work. So it increases the level of RNG required to get through, like, quite considerably, because you're already rolling for a dodge on Monica and then you need a crit later. I'm also using 3 Miracle Ebonyals as the items because we have a bunch of attackers, so this is very good, with as much crit finish on them as possible. So I have V, V, and 4 and 1. You definitely want a really good amount of crit finish. We will be fishing for a crit on Rarona's Burst. With this setup, it's about 40% chance to crit. If it's lower, you can still get away with it, but like, it's not fun, right? But yeah, let's just get into the battle and get it started. Oh wait, I forgot to look at speed. Speed is of course very important. Rarona needs to be the slowest here. 234 is fine. Vio needs to be the fastest, and that's pretty easy. If Monica's at 250, Vio will be at like 255. Then we have Valeria after Vio. Valeria just needs to be slower than Vio because you want the buff from Vio before Valeria's turn. So this is very important that Valeria is slower than her. And then we have Monica at 250, like I mentioned before, and Tao at 235. All that matters here is that Tao is faster than Rorona. He's pretty slow in general, but as long as he's faster than Rorona, you will be fine. So yeah, that order matters. But the actual like specific speed values don't matter too much other than Monica's 250, as long as everyone is in the right order. So let us begin. Alright, so right away, yeah, Monica's gonna get hit here. The dragon has 2 attacks, one does more damage. You want to make sure that she can tank both of them just to make the resets easier. That was the one that did less damage. So we're going to use skill 2 with Vio on the dragon. It's very important that we get its received damage down stacks removed. So as 3 turns of this, that means it needs to be attacked 3 times to remove this. So the first one will be with Vio's skill 2. And you can see that everyone got dealt damage up buff. And then we're going to target the B golem. This is the one using the AoE attack. And it's just very important that everyone is faster than this golem. If you have any characters behind this one, I don't know if it's possible, you need them to be faster. So, and the reason Monica needed 250 speed is to be faster than this A1. So we're going to hit this one. You may need to get a crit with this attack if your gear is worse. But if it's not, then just go ahead. And we're going to hit the dragon with Monica now. So her skill 2 gives her evasion, a chance to evade. Yeah, we're just going to hit the dragon. It'll remove a stack of its damage reduction and also give stacks of the increased damage received from the Memoria. So, cool. Monica dodged. If she doesn't dodge, you just need to reset. But if she dodges, you can continue. And we're just going to go ahead and take care of this golem here. And Rorona does need to kill it here, so if Rorona's not killing it, it means you either need better gear, more levels, or you just need to get a crit. Any of those 3 options will work. Just make sure it dies here. Very important. And it's going to heal everything. Because of these heals, we're kind of targeting things one at a time. So now we're going on to the A golem, and the A golem needs to die from Vio, Valeria, and Tao. So we're going to use skill 2 on Vio here to get everyone's damage buff back up. And Valeria, now that she has the blue panel, is going to be the one to use the items. So use all the items. And Valeria should have pretty good crit rate, which helps with killing this one. Yeah. And Monica is going to go on the Wyvern once again. And with this attack, you can see that the shield is completely gone. And now it is taking, you know, like 12% reduced damage, increased damage from the Memoria. So we're going to finish off the other golem with Tao. And then all that's left is this dragon and Rorona's burst. Those debuffs from Memoria are really important because that's how you get the conditional on Rorona's burst, boost damage by 40% when target is affected by received damage up. So very important there. And also it just takes more damage. You do need this burst to crit for the SS. If it crits and one-shots the dragon, you get SS. If it crits and doesn't one-shot the dragon, you don't get SS. You need to finish it on turn 13. Any more turns and you start losing too many points. So this burst needs to kill. If it doesn't kill, you will still be able to finish the battle with an S. So as you can see here, I didn't get the crit. But if I did get the crit, it would have done about 110,000 damage and one-shot the thing. So let me just finish it off real quick. So yeah, even if your damage is worse, even if you don't roll the crit, you still end up with an S, but that crit on Rorona's burst is the difference between an S and an SS. So as long as you get that crit, you'll get SS. If you don't, as you see here, you will get an S. S is totally fine, and even if your gear is worse, you can still get an S with this strat as long as you can kill the golems early. So, yep. And that is it for 8-1. Alright, on to 8-2. So 8-2 is... It's not too bad if you have the right strategy, however there is a bit of RNG required. For this one, we're going to be taking a team of 3 breakers, so Eska, Marion, and Shalistera, and then we have Vio with the same support setup as before, and Resna. Speed is very, very, very important for this one, so pay attention to the speed values and try to match them as best you can. So importantly for Shalistera, we do need her at 256. She can't be lower than 255. So we get her to 256 by having a Bell of Disruption. And this Memoria, Puni for you, has 5% speed and gives stun damage to attacks at all enemies. You should just have this at rank 5 if you can. It's just a rare Memoria, so pretty easy. Other than that, her gear is pretty mediocre stun damage gear, just like single trait here, just bad traits here on the Sherry Lumont. But make sure that her speed is 256. This is super important. And then Resna is also going to be 256 speed. We are going for a speed tie here because we need Resna to go last, and it's hard to get her much slower than this. 256 speed is with this Memoria, the Totori Memoria, and a 4-speed accessory. So yeah, you need her to go last. I recommend using this Memoria, even over SSRs, just because of the speed. If she's faster than Sarah, then that's a huge problem for this strategy. But you can use a better Memoria. I think if you have a 0-speed accessory, like that'll be fine, probably. She just needs to either be tied or slower than Shalistera. And if you do have them tied, you just need to make sure that Shalistera is further left than Resna in the party order. That's super important. So make sure that those speed values are correct, otherwise this won't work. Also, Resna's gear is not particularly good. It's like skill power 5 and then 3 skill power 4s. These damage boosts, we're doing triple dragons, so these damage boosts are really, really bad. Like a single skill power 4 would probably outscale these or be even. So like gear, you really don't need super good gear for this. If you had like full skill power 9s in every slot, you would be fine. If your damage is a bit low, the Enchanted Broom and the Wanderer's Clothes are much better, they're really, really good items for Resna. They will increase her damage by a lot. But if you have better skill power pieces on other bases, you probably have enough damage anyways. So yeah, you don't need your gear doesn't need to be too good here for Resna. Don't worry about too much. But if you need to make gear for her, the Broom and the Wanderer's Clothes are best in slot, like by far. They're very strong. So as for Vio, like I said before, same setup as last time. However, I do need her to be faster than Shally and Resna, so I gave her an 8-speed accessory. The accessory doesn't have damage buffet on it, so it's kind of whatever. If you wanted to make an 8-speed accessory with damage buffet to make her fast enough, you'll be doing even better damage. But yeah, same setup as 8-1, so... And then for Eska, she doesn't necessarily need this much speed, but it kind of helps. Just gave her boost on damage when attacking a boss, and then Bell of Disruption. She can be a bit slower, just as long as she's not slower than Resna. That's fine. Her gear overall, just stun damage 5, magic stun damage 5, magic stun damage 5 again, so like, not super good, and there's a little bit of leeway on this gear. It can be a bit worse. Shally's gear is the main gear that needs to be quite decent. But even then, Shally's gear is not particularly good either. Magic stun 5, some crappy stun damage on a Shredded Lumont, magic stun 5 on a Light Iron Staff, like nothing particularly amazing on the breakers. And then Marion as well. The important thing about Marion is that her speed is 265 or lower. She cannot be faster than 266. Any faster than 266 and you lose. So you actually need to make sure she has as low speed as possible. To do that, we give her this Memoria, Innocent Sound of Water, with plus 2.75% speed, and it gives her some stun damage. And then we give her a 0 speed accessory. If you don't want to make a 0 speed accessory for this, you don't have one, you can give her an even slower Memoria. It's fine. Just make sure her speed is 266 or lower. And of course not slower than Resna, although that's not possible, so. And other than that, her gear, once again, not particularly amazing, just stun 5, 5, 5. Like, you don't need super high level gear for this. The most important thing is to get all the speeds correct, specifically Shally's at 256 and Resna's at 256 as well. And then just make sure the party is in the correct order, with Shally further left than Resna. I do recommend Resna and Vio both being at 75, and make sure to have as many EX boards as possible unlocked for this one. Because we actually take a lot of damage here and lose points for it. We take a lot of damage here and lose points for it, so you want to make sure to have as much defense and HP as possible on the party. And yeah, that's just like super important. Just to make sure that you save points. If you're losing points on damage taken and you're like just short of SS, you can absolutely get up to it just by improving your party's tankiness through either levels or EX boards. Vio doesn't need to be 75, this can be done with her at 70, but if you have her at 75, have her a little bit tankier, it will be less reset heavy, so do that. You can even pick up the HP core, which helps as well, on top of the level 75. As for items, we just have 3 Dragon Elixirs with as much crit finish as possible. Highly recommend having lots of crit finish on these, but the crits aren't necessarily needed unless your gear is really bad. We're not really rolling too many crits here. So let's get into the battle. This one is quite reset heavy at the start. We're going to have this carrier, this blue thing, attacking a random ally, a random party member, and it kills everyone except for Resna and Vio. If you get everyone up to 75, they're more likely to live, but, you know, fine. The wolf had a red panel, so it's not going to kill anyone, even at level 70, and so it attacked Vio. Vio lives. The wolf sometimes inflicts a debuff on the targeted attacks that lowers their stun damage, so if it hits Shally with that debuff, then you probably need to reset, but otherwise you should be good to go as long as everyone's alive. And we're just going to start off by hitting the wolf with Marion and stunning it immediately. And then the bat with Eska. It's okay if these don't quite stun because Shally will finish them off, but you most likely have overkill stun for these. And then we have the little flower dryad plant thing here. This thing has an interesting mechanic where if you hit it with a critical attack, it changes all empty panels to blue, and we're going to be abusing that. So we're going to be hitting it as much as possible. If your gear is good enough, you probably don't need to do this, but if your gear is on the same level as the gear I'm using here, you definitely should do this. So we're just going to hit it with Vio. Alright, no crit, but we have a few chances, so we hit it about 5 times. So lots of chances for crits. We're going to hit the wolf with Resna, just to make sure that it dies. It has quite a bit HP, so... And we finish the stun on the carrier with Marion. And the rest of the hits will go on to the plant. And hopefully we will see a crit on one of them. But probably not. And once it's Resna's turn, you just want to use all of the Dragon Elixirs, and then burst. And you can see here, because we didn't get the blue panel, the wolf is still going to be alive, even without the blue panel, you can roll for crits. Like if she gets enough crits, then everything will die, right? So yeah, no crit on the wolf. I don't think there was a crit on the carrier either. So yeah, probably not, yeah, definitely not enough damage to finish this one off, but I will get one going and be back. Alright, so we got a critical strike on the flower, and you can see that it made a blue panel down there for Resna to pick up. And once again, we use the Dragon Elixirs to get the burst panel. And now that we have, you know, the blue panel, you can see that the wolf is much closer to dying. We have much more damage. And of course, critical strikes still help as well. But it doesn't look like we got any once again. But the wolf's HP is low enough that Marion can finish it off. And then we just go all in on the carrier, and we should have enough damage as long as Resna does not get paralyzed here. Once again, this is with pretty bad gear. With better gear, this is definitely a lot smoother. This thing dies a lot easier, or if you roll a crit on it. We got unlucky and didn't get the critical strike, so we do have to roll the paralysis. Thankfully it passed, and Resna can just go ahead and take it out for the easy SS. Very cool. And yeah, as you can see here, we're not getting full points on damage taken. The tankier you are, the more points you get from this, so it can help if you're not quite getting the damage. But yeah, that is 8-2. It's not too bad. Alright, on to floor 3. Now this one is another Resna floor. So we're going to be using Resna, of course, for our main damage. We also have Valeria, Asuka and Marion for breakers, and then Linka as our defender. So not only is it a Resna floor for damage, it is kind of a tank test for Linka. It's a little bit rough on her. I recommend having her at level 75 if you can. You may need to. More stars, definitely helpful as well. My Linka is only 2 stars. She's the only one that will be taking damage here, but the damage output is very, very high, so you want to have quite good gear for her. As far as the Memoria, I recommend the best defensive statted Memoria you have, preferably an SSR with like good magic defense, good HP. If you don't have an SSR like this, you can probably use in a Phantom World. However, you will need to make a 10 speed accessory to have enough speed because its speed value is so low. But you should be able to get away with this one. You just need a different accessory than what I'm using here. Other than that, this one is fine. And for the rest of her gear, we have a Serene Envoy's Blade, just standard good defender gear, reduces, single target damage. Pukin Sweats is pretty good, restores her HP after using a skill. And then the accessory, it doesn't really matter. There are better ones than this. This is just what I happen to have, but something like a Nade Ring is better, or an Angel Ribbon, anything that gives damage reduction, right? Or if you need the 10 speed for a different Memoria, that as well. Her speed must be at least 272, I believe. If she's any slower than that, she won't be able to go before the boss and she will die. So make sure her speed is at least 272. And then for the traits, we just have enhanced physic magical resistance up on every piece of gear. On a couple of them, I have the defender version, which is a higher value. It goes to 50%. We don't need to give this to our party, so the defender version is fine. This one is the normal version, and this one is the defender version, but rank 4. All in all, the total value between these is about 120%, and you kind of want at least that much added together, but more is always better. So just get, as much of these as you can. The other trait doesn't matter. However, if you do happen to get it, magic resistance is useful. But yeah, these 2 items, very good. just make these ones, and then the accessory, anything with damage reduction, or if you need the speed, that's fine. And hopefully she can survive. You'll see how high the incoming damage is when we get there. And of course, you know, having the EX board maxed out is essential to her survival as well. As far as Resna goes, she is going to be in the same gear that we used in 8.2, more or less. However, there is one change, and that is an Exorcism Brooch. This is pretty good here. You can replace it with any other 10-speed accessory if you want, but I just made one with skill power 5 on it real quick. It didn't take very long. It gives burst skill damage, which is really nice. Basically, she needs to be at pretty high speed, like 263 is good here. As long as you can get her to around this speed value, you're fine. I just made the Exorcism Brooch because it also gives damage, but it can be anything else as long as she gets enough speed. And overall, the quality of the gear is not particularly high. We have like skill power 5, 4, 5, and some like damage boosts. Like, this isn't particularly good gear. Once again, Wanderer's Clothes and Enchanted Broom are best in slot, of course. And then we have Valeria, our other attacker. Valeria needs to be slower than Resna, but basically just as high speed. I have her at 262, so 1 slower than Resna. And to do that, I gave her this Memoria, the Land of Carrots. While equipped to an attacker, boost skill damage by 10%, 5% speed. It's just a rare Memoria. This is more than good enough, and an 8-speed accessory. So this will get her to the right speed level. This Memoria and an 8-speed accessory. As far as the equipment goes, I have a skill power 9, then a skill power 5, and a skill power 5. This is magic damage boost. It doesn't do anything, so this is just a skill power 5 accessory. So not amazing gear on her either, and you could go far worse than this even. You really don't need a ton of damage off of Val. The most important thing is the speed for sure. Then we have Eska. As long as Eska is faster than Resna, that's fine. To do that, I gave her a Bell of Disruption for 10 speed and Teacher's Cure for Boredom, same Memoria as last time, with the 5% speed on it. She'll get to 264. That's perfectly fine. The gear is once again not particularly good, just V stun traits on everything. And last we have Marion. Marion, you have no problems getting her speed high enough. It doesn't matter how high her speed is, really. Just put a Bell of Disruption on her. She is good to go. And we also use the continuation of that Summer Memoria, because why not? She's attacking weakness. It'll be good here. And once again, the gear is not particularly strong. Just stun Vs on everything, and that is about it. So not super amazing gear here. The most important things are that Linka can tank the boss, and you'll see how much damage it does when we get to the clear, and that Resna, you know, does good damage with her burst. And to that end, we once again have Draken Elixirs with crit finish. We're not really in need of rolling crits here, but the more crit chance you have, the better always, right? And it lets you get away with worse gear if you're willing to sit there and reset for a while and roll those crits. So with all that out of the way, let's go ahead and get started. Right away, you'll be able to see that all of our characters are faster than the golems, and Linka is faster than the ghost. So if this is not your timeline at the start, something is wrong, and you will need to back out and, you know, fix your speed. You need this timeline order right here. And we're going to start off with Marion stunning Golem B. Whenever a golem is stunned, it will turn blue panels, so into this one right here on Valeria, into a burst panel, which is very nice. So it will give us access to more burst panels than you might expect. So yeah, Valeria gets that burst right there. And then Linka is going to use her skill 1, make sure it's skill 1, and just go on to Golem C. Just get a little bit of extra damage there. And you can see that her health is already fairly low after one hit from the boss. And she will need to take another hit later as well, so. But it's fine because we have the traits on her that let her stack up her damage reduction. So Eska is going to target Golem D. The Golem D target are very important. We want to leave A and C unstunned. it's very important to target the correct ones, so make sure you do that. Stun B and D. And then Resna is also going to use skill 1. And you can use it on C or A or whatever. It doesn't really matter, or the Ghost. It depends on how much damage her burst does. If her burst isn't quite killing C and A, you can just use her skill 1 on one of them. I know my burst will kill, so I'm just going to go ahead and use it on the boss. Then we will also use Val's burst on the boss, just to get some nice extra damage in. This will crit like half the time. It's nice when it does, of course, but we don't need to reset for it or anything, it's not necessary. So yeah, then the golems go. They will use protect, which means they will intercept attacks. That's fine. What we're going to do is, now it's Linka's turn again, and we're just going to go ahead and use items right here, and this will, you know, shift the timeline forward, get the burst on Resna, and also just give her the Dragon Elixirs. And Linka is once again going to use skill 1. And what this will do here is we'll put the burst on the boss, and that's exactly what we want. We want the boss to be bursting, because otherwise it's going to attack everyone. With the burst, it only attacks Linka, which is really good. And we will go ahead and use Resna's burst, and you can see even without crits, we have more than enough damage to take out all of the golems at once. So, very, very clean and easy there. And this will hit for like 200,000 damage or so. Which is easily enough damage to get us SS on damage, so yeah. Next we're just going to stun it with Marion, and from this point, it's basically just auto. The reason Linka's going to survive this burst is because she has so much reduced received magic damage from her skills, so she has 33% here, another 33% here, and after using skill 2 here, she'll have another 33%, right? So she is taking massively reduced magic damage, so she easily has enough HP to survive that. And we just stun the boss. There is a little bit of a bug here. It's supposed to take increased magic damage when you stun it with magic. It says it's taking, it says boost slash damage. This is a mistranslation that I reported, but it does work. It is taking increased magic damage right now for the next 3 attacks. So just hit it with Val, and then Resna's burst will do pretty good damage to it because we still have the Dragon Elixirs up and it's taking increased magic damage. And if you don't kill it here, you know, we have another burst all the way down here as well. So with all of these turns, should be more than enough to take care of the boss. But yeah, the main thing is just making sure that you get, you know, good enough gear for Linka that she survives. That's kind of the big thing. It's definitely a Linka tank test here. She's not really replaceable, just because of her unique mechanics where she lowers the boss's magic damage. You really specifically want to use her over anyone else. And if your damage is short, we do have items again. So yeah, you can see my damage is short, but we have items up again. You can just use them, and damn it, if you can take out the golems, your damage for this should be more than good enough. So very, very straightforward battle. Resna makes quick work of it. Once again, it's just important to get those speed values correct. If the speed values aren't correct, you will run into issues, but easy SS. Good job, Resna. And yeah, that is it for 8-3. Alright, finally we have 8-4. The gear for this one's pretty straightforward. The gear in the strat, you do need quite a bit of damage, although the gear I have is a little bit overkill. One important thing is that we have Dragon Elixirs for our items. All of these with just crit finish on them, as much as you can get. Valeria's burst has 50% crit chance baseline, so it's not super important. It's just fewer resets, the higher crit chance you have. What's most important though is because we're using Dragon Elixirs, is Valeria needs to have the highest magic attack in your team. So we're using a team of, you know, Valeria, 3 magic characters, and Marion. Basically, to get her to have the highest magic attack, I have Vio at level 60 only, level 60, and Eska is very close at level 70, you can either lower her level or you can just use a fairly like bad weapon on her. That's fine. Or a phys attack base weapon, right? So like the steel bow is fine. If you put like a magic attack base on her, she'll go over Valeria. So just want to make sure if you copy the setup exactly, then it should all work out. As far as speed goes, we have Valeria at 255, Maru at 257, Marion at 272, Vio at 253, and Eska at 264. These values aren't super precise. You just want to make sure that they're in the same order and that there are no speed ties, especially between Vio and Valeria. If you have speed ties, things will get messed up with all of the bursts. So when there's speed ties, bursts actually change the timeline order. So you do want to avoid those. As far as the equipment goes, I have good equipment on Valeria, but the damage is a bit overkill, so you can for sure get away with less, but I do have skill 9s on everything. The damage requirement on this one is quite high. You need 150,000 single hit damage for the SS, so you want to make sure you get that. But with this gear, I hit about 170 to 180k, so you can go a bit worse as long as you can still kill the bats early on. And I have a 31% Viz attack Memoria on her as well. For Maru, just the standard Maru setup once again. You know, item charge Memoria and recovery boost gear, nothing special. For Marion, we have continuation of that summer, pretty standard, and just physical stun damage, and then all target attack resist on the scarf. You do want her to have one copy of this, otherwise she is very likely to die, even at level 70. Then Vio, once again, she's level 60. She has a similar setup to before, with kind of the same gear, except the scarf has all target attack resist. So we removed one enhanced damage buff and swapped it out for all target attack resist because her level has to be lower. She needs that to survive, because she does have to be low level so that the dragons can target Valeria. And then Eska, the Memoria here is kind of important for her to get the speed. I just went with Memoria and Bell. Other than that, it's just basic like magic stun 5s on everything and nothing else. But as long as you go with this setup with the Teacher's Cure Memoria, this one with the Cat Rorona, she will have the correct speed. So that's fairly important. And Valeria is the only level 75 character I'm running here. So pretty straightforward team for this one, and it's a pretty straightforward strat. We will have one RNG check, so we need one crit early on, and then we also need another crit later, but other than that, it's pretty lenient on randomness. So basically the entire time, we're just going to be using skill 2s. Whoops, I left it on auto. My bad. And what we want to do is, first up, we want to just target this bat, the B bat. This is the one that's attacking, so this is the one we're going to kill first because we don't want to let it attack. So we need to target this one. And you can see that with the turn order, we have Valeria with the blue panel here. Basically, we will just be resetting for a crit on her, and she should be able to one-shot the bat with that crit. So for Eska's turn, if you're worried about the amount of stun on the damage on the dragon, you can target the dragon with Eska's turn. I just target the bat because I know I have enough stun with her burst. But if you don't have enough stun with her burst, you can target the dragon instead. It just makes your resets a little more annoying. And no crit, so just reset, and I will be back when we get that crit. Alright, Valeria finally crit. So yeah, you can see with the crit that the bat goes down. And now there's something very important here. First off, on Vio's turns, we want to use items right away, because we will be double stacking the Draken Elixirs, so we want to get them up as early as possible. This is why the item charge Memoria on Maru is very important. And also, you need to be paying attention for the bat's turn. So when the bat takes its turn, it's going to target either itself or the boss with evasion. If the evasion goes on the bat, you're good to go. You can finish the fight. If it goes on the dragon, you need to go back to resetting. the fight is over at that point because it changes the timeline. You can see how the dragon's turn is here. If the bat uses evasion on the dragon, its turn will get pulled up to like here. And the timeline will be completely dead. Like, you have to restart. The strat will not work. So just one more RNG check that we need to pass. And you can see that the evasion went on the bat there, so we are good to go. We're just going to stun everything now, so Marion is going to hit the bat. And Eska is going to hit the dragon. Now, when the boss gets stunned, it turns all of the blue panels, you can see all the blue panels, it turns them into burst panels. So we will have a burst on Val here, which is very nice. And we're just going to continue using skill 2s on everyone else. And the burst is going to go on the bat. We do need to kill the bat right here. So burst on the bat, don't need to roll the crit, it very easily hits. We did crit anyways. If you do get this crit, you know, you're already hitting the damage threshold most likely. And we do want this burst on the boss. This is very important. If the boss is not bursting, then it will one-shot someone and we can't have anyone die. The burst will do a lot of damage, but it won't kill anyone if you have the right setup. You know, AoE defense on the right characters, and so on. So that is totally fine. This is exactly what we want, and everyone should live here. Perfect. Alright, now we have Marion's burst again. Get it stunned, and also lower its stab resistance to help Valeria's damage. Then we skill 2 on Eska, and burst on Maru. And Maru will also increase the damage that it takes with her burst. And then on Valeria's turn, don't forget to use your Draken Elixirs. Now, you do need to crit here, but if you have good Draken Elixirs, your crit chance will be at least 70 to 80%, so it's very likely it happens. Of course, now that I'm saying that, surely it'll miss, right? Yeah, we just need to roll a crit here. This isn't going to kill it, but it should do, you know, plenty of damage. More than enough to, yeah, 171,000. And we have another burst lined up down here, so just skill 2 on everyone else. There's no reason to use more bursts, especially on Maru. You need the heal. If you don't heal, your HP will be too low to get the SS. So make sure to heal everyone up and not burst here, and then Valeria's burst will finish it off. And there we go. That is 8-4 complete with SS. Hopefully this works out for you. This is one of the easier ones in my opinion once you have the right strategy. The damage check isn't really that bad. You do still need, of course, decent gear, but yeah, pretty straightforward. Anyways, that is it for the Chapter 8 guide. I hope this was helpful to some of you. I hope you enjoyed it. If it was helpful, you know, please like, subscribe, or like the video, or leave a comment, or anything really. Like, in all honesty, my motivation for guide content is pretty low. It doesn't get quite as much engagement as my other content, just talking about characters and stuff, and it's way more effort. I think overall this video probably took around, I want to say 16 hours to make, figuring out all the strats and stuff, maybe more like 14, but this video took quite a while, so, you know, if it helped you, just leave a comment or something. I do really enjoy seeing them. If you have any questions as well, that's totally fine, although do make sure to watch the video carefully before asking your questions, because most things can be answered by the video, but yeah. Anyways, that's all from me. we'll see if I do more guides in the future, because yeah, like I said, my motivation for them is a little bit low with how much effort they take, especially because I try to make them as like low budget as possible. As you can see in this one, I really tried my best to not use any gacha characters, use really bad gear, not use any SSR Memoria, things like that, so it takes a lot of effort to figure out setups that work for those kind of restrictions. But yeah, hope it was helpful, and I will see you all in the next one. Have a good one. Bye-bye.